Have you ever felt so tired of everything? You know, the noise from the street, lots of people around, cars, everyone calling you through the day and wanting something, even on your day off. Why can't anyone just leave you alone, right? Well, as you already know from the title, we're going to turn this wish into a reality and remove all of the people in the world, making you the last human remaining. But you know, the correct title for the video should be why you never ever will survive in such a situation, whether you're a superhuman or even Will Smith. And don't get me wrong, it's not because I doubt you, but because of one particular thing. What do I mean by that? Well, watch this video until the end and I'll tell you everything. For now, all you have to do is hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And also, all the comments will be read, so feel free to share with me what you would do if you were the last human on the planet. Now let's get into it. So, you wake up one morning and everything is strangely quiet. There's no car horns honking, no people chatting, and no sounds at all. It's like the world just kind of hit the mute button overnight. At first you're confused, of course. Maybe it's a dream. You wander around your house calling out for people, but you get no response. And as you step outside, the quiet is almost deafening. Streets that were once hustling and bustling with life are now empty. And you might even shout, expecting someone to pop out and tell you it's a prank. But there's nobody that does. Seriously, just try to imagine such a moment. What would you feel like? I think it would probably be strong disbelief. But here's some good news. You would still have access to the internet, television, etc. for a few days at least. So you try to check the news to find out what the hell happened, but there's nothing there. The last news on any website is dated from the day before, and the last YouTube video is also yesterday, and there are no updates for anything today. That's when the acceptance begins. You realize that you have to figure out what happens next. It's just you now, and the entire world is your playground, or is it your battleground? But let's be real here. Could you stop yourself from immediately looting shops and malls, for example? The temptation would be too strong, right? You could easily walk into a massive supermarket, grab a shopping cart, and fill it with all of your favorite snacks and drinks. No lines, no rush, just you and the endless shelves of goodies. Next, you'll head to a high-end electronics store. Grab the latest gadgets and televisions and gaming consoles, imagining all the time you'll spend entertaining yourself without any interruptions. Now picture stepping into a car dealership and picking out a Ferrari. The thrill of driving at top speed with no traffic is unlike anything you've ever experienced. And then there are those mansions. Remember, there's nobody there to stop you, there's no one to judge, so you can break into a millionaire's house. You know, the grand staircases, the chandeliers, the indoor pools, and the home theaters. It's like living in a dream. You explore every room, opening drawers and closets, while discovering hidden treasures and luxuries that you'd never imagined. The world outside is silent and still. And while nature wouldn't reclaim the urban landscape in just one day, you might begin to notice some changes. For example, birds become more noticeable and bold without human activity. But over the next few weeks, you might see more wildlife like deer and foxes venturing into the city. So now you need to take care of your immediate future. It might take a couple of days to loot all kinds of medical kits. This is a really important part because any cut or cold could cost you your life without the medical industry and specialists around. Oh, and be sure to take some building materials with you because you need to barricade your home from wild animals. All in all, in the first few days, you have a lot of work to do. The world may be your playground, but survival comes first. After a few days, you find yourself in your house, enjoying the last minutes of the internet while scrolling through all kinds of medical instructions, watching YouTube and TikToks of once existing people. It was your last day with electricity, because nuclear power plants have already begun to shut down safely within hours to days due to automated safety protocols. And without power, servers and data centers would go offline, leading to a gradual loss of internet connectivity. But the internet is just nothing compared to what you would face next. The collapse of infrastructure is a much bigger problem, and it's going to hit you hard. No electricity? Well, that doesn't only mean that you can't charge your devices, but it also means no refrigeration as well. And so, forget about food that can rot. In order to generate electricity, you may need to find and use solar panels or even portable generators, but even those have their limitations, requiring fuel or good weather to function. Next up, there'll be water supply issues that become critical because without electricity, water treatment plants and pumps are going to fail, leaving you without a reliable source of clean water. You'll have to find natural sources like rivers and lakes or even rainwater. But remember, untreated water can be dangerous and you'll need to boil it or use purification tablets to make sure that it's safe to drink. And let's not underestimate the psychological factor of such loneliness. If you tried to isolate yourself, even for a few days without any people and conversations, you're going to begin to struggle, no matter how introverted you may be. Imagine yourself in a situation when you realize that all your family and all of your friends and loved ones have disappeared. All of your goals and achievements, well, they don't matter anymore. You understand that these couple of days will turn into months and years, and there's no way out for the rest of your life. Coping with all of these is one of the biggest challenges you'll face. But it's not only about the fact that you're sad and that's it. I'm talking about your mental health. You may experience intense feelings of depression, anxiety, and even hallucinations. Without anyone to talk to, you may begin to feel like you're losing your mind. To address these challenges, you'll have to be proactive. One way is to create routines to maintain sanity. Establish a daily schedule, which includes activity like exercise, reading, and hobbies to keep your mind engaged. Finding ways to simulate social interaction can also help. Talking out loud to yourself, keeping a journal, or even creating imaginary friends, which may sound silly, but they can also help as well. Another strategy is to set goals for yourself. Whether it's learning a brand new skill, exploring a new area, or just building something, having a purpose can keep you motivated and give your days structure. You have to remember, your mental resilience is equally as important as your physical survival. But with the right strategies, you can maintain your sanity while finding ways to keep on going. And while mental health is something that you can try to control, we can't say the same about wildlife, which will certainly begin to occupy your territory. As days keep coming, you should likely avoid places with food, especially city centers, because all kinds of wild animals are going to get much bolder, and without the usual noise and activity, they're going to begin to take the streets and buildings because of the abundance of food sources. Oh, and by the way, you have a lot of food in your house, right? Well, the smell of that food may just draw in animals closer, increasing the risk of encounters. So you'll have to be sure to find ways to store your supplies securely and out of the reach of animals. And now we come to the most interesting part, where you finally find out what will certainly end your chances of survival in such a world. But before that happens, first of all, thank you for watching up to this moment. And if you're enjoying the video, be sure to hit the like button because now is the perfect time to do it. Your likes and shares and comments are incredibly important to keep this content coming. And with all of that done, let's move on to the final deadly challenge. So, what would leave you with no chance to survive? Please welcome nuclear reactors. These things need constant maintenance and human oversight to keep them safe, and as I already said, when everyone disappears, the reactors will shut down automatically thanks to the safety protocols. But these shutdowns will only buy you some time. For the first week, you may be fine, but as the backup power for the reactors runs out, the cooling systems are going to fail. And when that happens, the reactor cores will begin to overheat, and within a few days after that, you could be dealing with a full-blown meltdown. Radiation's going to spread, contaminating the air and environment around you. Now remember, I told you to find natural water sources or rainwater, right? Ha! Well, forget it. Breathing in radioactive particles or drinking contaminated water can cause serious health issues pretty quickly. Symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and even serious burns will hit you hard, and high doses of radiation damage your internal organs and bone marrow, and it's not a pretty way to go. Oh, and don't forget about chemical plants. These places store all kinds of nasty chemicals that need constant monitoring, and without humans to keep an eye on things, leaks and spills will start happening within days. You could be walking through the city and suddenly smell something weird. Maybe it's chlorine gas or ammonia leaking from a nearby plant. Both are incredibly dangerous. Chlorine gas can cause serious respiratory problems, and even death if you breathe in too much of it. Ammonia can cause burns and respiratory issues along with eye damage. And so within 1 to 2 weeks, you're going to be looking at a city that's becoming more and more toxic by the moment. And I'm not only talking about America, there are 440 nuclear reactors and countless chemical plants all around the world. Do you think that all of them are well maintained even now to not explode within hours after humans disappear? The reality is, many of these reactors and plants are aging, and they rely heavily on continuous human interventions to stay safe. On a global scale, not all nuclear reactors and chemical plants are in pristine condition. Some may be in countries with less than stringent safety regulations or even older infrastructure. So, the risk of multiple meltdowns and chemical leaks across the world is pretty high. And this means that you're not just dealing with local contamination, but a potential global catastrophe. So, here's the 100% possibility scenario for you after about a week of that. The air begins to feel heavy, and you notice a strange metallic taste in your mouth. That's the radiation creeping in. Isn't it delicious? You've sealed your home as best you can, but radioactive particles are microscopic, easily infiltrating through any tiny crack or gap. You begin to feel sick, nausea, vomiting, serious fatigue, it all hits you hard. Your skin may develop burns or rashes from the high levels of radiation, and this is not something that you can just shake off. Your body is beginning to break down at a cellular level. Internal organs begin to fail, and your immune system is seriously compromised. Meanwhile, outside, the chemical plants have started to leak toxic gases. And even if you do avoid immediate death from radiation, the toxic air will cause respiratory failure in time. The combination of radioactive particles and chemical contaminants makes it impossible to find clean water, and within a week or so, your body won't be able to cope with the combined assault. Vital organs are going to begin to shut down, and without any medical intervention, death is inevitable. In short, while you may survive the first few days, the environmental disasters will certainly catch up to you, making surviving as the last human not only tough, but downright impossible. For now, we're done with this video, but don't be all gloomy and sad, because I heard that subscribing to the channel can give you protection from all of these challenges. I don't know if it's true, but be sure to check it out. And here's the good news. I have a couple more intriguing scenarios for you about what if superheroes really existed, and what if dragons were real. So be sure to click on one of them, and I will immediately meet you there.